gonna do it, we're gonna do it correctly. And if we're not doing it correctly, then I'm not doing it at all. Hey you guys, welcome back to Our Awaken. So for today's conversation, this might be a little controversial, but I feel like this is a very well needed conversation, especially within the African community. This message is more so directed towards the elders, but I'm hoping that the younger generation is also listening so that they can hopefully release themselves from the shackles that the elders are putting onto them, because I just see a lot of toxicity going on, and honestly I'm really tired of seeing the same negative cycles being repeated over and over again. I'm all for breaking generational curses, and now that I'm 25, I am experiencing the things that I've witnessed my elders experience, and honestly I'm not here for it. I'm tired of hearing the same things. I'm just tired of seeing a lot of dysfunction, so I'm going to speak about it. I understand that there are particular ways and traditions that we as Africans tend to go about when it comes to formulating relationships, getting into marriages, having children. But now that I'm at a point of really understanding certain dynamics, or even just understanding more so what I want out of relationships and what I don't want out of relationships, a lot of what I see is honestly what I don't want. And to the elders, I understand that there's a certain standard or like a certain time frame that you guys are used to going about things. And I understand the intent behind trying to lead us and guide us into a certain direction. However, I feel like y'all are hurting the younger generation more than y'all are actually helping them. Stop trying to force marriage onto people who are not ready for it. Stop trying to make people feel like they're past their time because they haven't gotten married yet or because they haven't had kids yet. Stop trying to play matchmaker 24/7 every time we see y'all, because honestly it's actually really annoying. I'm tired of the judgment that comes with, oh, you're this age, why are you not married yet? And I'm pretty sure a lot of the younger generation understands what I mean when I say every time you see a tanti, they're always like, oh, I have this person for you, or, oh, when are you getting married, when are you this, when are you that? And it's just like, damn, like, can I breathe? Can I live life? Can I learn myself? Can I develop a relationship with a person first? Every time I see you, I don't want you to keep asking me, when am I getting married, or where's my husband? If I knew where he was at, what light, I would tell you, but I don't know where he's at. So it's kind of just like, can you chill a little bit? Am I supposed to be married right now, or is that just an expectation that you're setting onto me? Because honestly, me at 25 right now, I'm learning that I have had the privilege to learn about myself compared to a lot of women who have gotten in relationships at such a young age. And what I mean when I say y'all are causing damage is y'all are putting so much pressure on the younger generation that a lot of people tie their value to whether they have a husband or not, or whether they're married or not, or whether they have kids or not. And the reality is, not everybody is just going to magically poof with a man and have children. I've heard of so many situations where women are linking themselves to men that are not of quality, or just getting with a man just for the sake of getting the elders to be quiet, and then now they're in unfavorable situations with men that ain't ish, with men that aren't good fathers, abusive men that are not emotionally available to them, but just for the sake of, I have a man, just to get y'all to be quiet. And as elders, I would expect for you guys to actually be guiding the youth in a more intentional way. So instead of trying to force marriage down our throat, how about y'all actually talk to us and give us advice on how to operate and how to choose a proper partner? Because the reality is, a lot of the marriages that I see from the elders, I don't look up to, and I wouldn't want to replicate. And honestly, if it means being with a man who steps out on you, or a man who is not the best father to his children, who's not emotionally available, who only provides for you financially but don't do anything else for you in any other way, if that's what it means to be in a marriage, wallahi, I do not want it. Because for me, it's just like, what is the purpose? What, just to say I have a man means nothing to me if that is not a respectable man, if he's not a man of quality, of integrity, a person who I know is going to be a great loving partner to me, but also a person who I could see myself having kids with, because I know, like, you are available enough to be a good father, to raise a kid, and, you know, to pour into your kid in a good way. But it's like, you guys aren't thinking like that. And no shade, but like, a lot of marriages, a lot of us don't look up to. We don't see it as, oh my gosh, like, I want to rush to get married for this reason. A lot of women are signing up for these marriages for the simple fact of, let's be honest, like, Disney Channel has sold us a lie. Yeah, and we should sue y'all. A lot of the young girls are getting married because that is the fairy tale fantasy that we are sold. And it's just like, the reality is, when you take a peek into a lot of the elders' relationships, no offense, and I don't know what's the right way to say this. I'm not put on this earth to just have a man's child, to be his house servant. That's not the life that I want for myself. If I'm gonna get married, I'm going to be intentional about it. And I also don't think it's smart to be forcing marriage down your young daughter's throat, who doesn't really even know herself. It's easy for her to get lost in these relationships. You are creating a situation where that young girl is now going to tie her value to, unless I have a man, then my life is incomplete. And don't get me wrong, like, a lot of women do want those things. And then the worst part is, in their mind, for you to be a single woman, you are out here selling your body to this person and that person. And I feel like that's very small-minded, because not everybody is out here doing that. And even me personally, for some reason, for them to find out that you're living on your own and you're a young unmarried girl, in their mind, it automatically goes to, you're laying down with 50 different men every other night. And it's just like, why do you even have to take it there? Like, why can't you believe that I have the self-respect to not be laying down with every man? Why is it so hard to believe that my legs are closed? Because I'm living by myself. Traditionally, I understand women are going to stay home with their parents until they're married, but like, let's be for real. We live in America, and these apartments ain't that big for 4 grown adults to be living in a 2-bedroom apartment. At some point, I'm gonna want my own space. And the part that bothers me the most is, y'all are pressuring young women to make life-changing decisions. A lot of these women are making these decisions based off of the pressures of the elders. It's not because they're moving intentionally. It's not because they chose a person that they can respect as a partner, as a loving partner to them, but also even think about, would this guy be a great father to the children? Not too long ago, I came across an elder, and he asked me how old was I, and I told him I was 25. He's like, and you not married with kids by now? I'm like, no, like, I'm not ready for that. He's like, oh no, you have to be ready. You should be on like baby number 2 or 3 right now. And I'm just looking like, sir, I'm still a baby, okay? I'm still taking care of me right now. Like, the idea of even adding on a child, like, it's overwhelming. I'm not ready for that. And I'm very intentional on choosing the right person to have a life with, and also to bring a child in this world with, because those situations can literally like make or break you. And I'm not going to repeat what I see people get into. And another thing too, like, sometimes when I'm bored, and being that I didn't really go to a lot of African weddings and stuff like that, sometimes when I'm on YouTube, African wedding videos will pop up, and I'll be watching them out of entertainment. So it'd be interesting to just see like the different traditions and how they go about things. And sometimes when I'm watching the videos, the chemistry between the bride and the groom just don't be giving. Like, the groom be looking miserable, and I'm sorry, but if the person I choose to get married to on our wedding day is not smiling from the right ear to the left ear, wallahi, I'm walking out. Because why are you not happy? Why are you not happy to be spending your life with me? Like, hello. So It just be really disturbing to see, because it's just like, damn. And there's a lot of people that are in marriages and they are miserable, like they are not happy. And it's just like, you guys were not compatible to begin with, yet some way somehow y'all still try to force yourselves into a relationship. For what reason? Just to kind of get people to stop talking, or just because it was by force? In one of the videos that I was watching, one of the tantis is gonna tell the girl in front of her and her husband on their wedding day, if you find out your man is cheating and he got a girlfriend outside, tell him you don't care, because you know at the end of the day he's gonna come back home to you. Excuse me? And you're gonna tell me that on my wedding day in front of this man? At that point, when I tell you, I would have rolled my eyes at her so fast and told her, just be quiet. I'm just like, as the elder, why are you telling this young lady, if she finds out her man is cheating on her, to still allow him back into the house because you know he's going to come back to you at the end of the day? Excuse me? On my wedding day, you're gonna tell me that? And then on top of that, you're telling me that in front of this man? Who's to say in his mind that's not an automatic, oh yeah, like, yeah, I'm getting married right now, which is supposed to be a monogamous, faithful relationship. Basically, me now hearing an elder say that gives me the grounds to go outside and go do my dirt. And it's just like, no, like, that's not okay. Why would you give that type of advice to the younger generation? You should not be allowing your elders to control your life in that way, because those are really important decisions, and they're not going to be the ones in the relationship. You are going to be the one in the relationship. You're going to be the one living with that person. You're going to be the one to have to go half on a baby with that person. And if you think I'm going to have a man's child that does not deserve it, you're crazy. Having a man's child is literally the biggest sacrifice that a woman can make. And I will never downplay that. Is no way I will have your kid and I do not value you to the utmost, which means you have to value me. And honestly, with the mindset that I have now, what I expect from the elders is for y'all to be real with the young women and the young men on what it takes to actually be in a relationship, like a genuine, loving, respectable relationship, and also what it takes to really raise kids and how it affects you. And also, another thing that's really mind-boggling to me that I hear a lot about when it comes to the dynamic between how the young boys and the young girls are raised, the young girls are given so much more responsibility and they're held to such a higher standard than the guys are. And the guys grow up to have this like big grandiose ego, like, oh, just because I'm a man, you're supposed to cater to me this type of way. And it's just like, but are you respectable? Like, it's not by force that I do it for you. If I choose to do it for you based off how I feel about you, I'm gonna do it. But if you come to me because you've seen your mom be a slave in the house, I'm not the girl for you. The men get treated like kings with their feet up and they don't do nothing. That's not happening over here. And I don't feel like any woman should accept that. And one thing that I do want to acknowledge is I extend grace to the older generation, because I understand that there are a lot of things that you guys had to accept because you guys were not in the same positions that we are in now. Y'all may have depended on the man financially to keep the household going and things like that. So I understand where you were more of a housewife. You cared for the children. You also kept the house. However, we are in a different day and time now. I'm not going to be your slave. And in return, a lot of the men felt as though because he's pulling his weight financially, he's able to do what he wants on the side. And then the women stayed because she depended on him financially. That's toxic. And I really need people to understand that we are not in that state right now. You do not have to depend on a man. So whatever the elders accepted back in the day, this younger generation, we're not accepting it. And to the women who are accepting it, please stand up. You deserve better. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. And when I say abuse, I mean emotionally, physically, mentally. If the relationship does not make you feel good, you should not feel obligated to keep yourself attached to a person because you are worried about how other people are going to be talking about you. And I think that's another really big problem within the African community. Everybody is so worried about saving face and trying to keep up a good image for other people. It's like you're putting on a front to keep somebody else happy, while it's like that person is trying to keep a front to keep other people happy. It's just this back and forth of everybody trying to people please to save face and to get people from not talking about them. And honestly, they're gonna talk about you regardless. So if they're gonna talk, I'd rather be doing what I want to do in a way that shows respect for myself, and I'll be happy with that decision. But I'm not going to make a decision that my higher self wouldn't make or that doesn't resonate with me just to make other people happy. One thing about it, people are going to talk about everybody else's business and they don't want to focus on their own business when that's the business they need to be tending to. So I think it's really important that we don't make these same mistakes. If you're going to build a relationship, be intentional about it. Get with a person that you guys are compatible, and I mean it in different ways: mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, or like some things I understand you can compromise with. But if you're going to spend your life with a person, why not do it in the best way possible? Like, I'm not going to get with a person where if you're going to constantly be nitpicking at me or trying to tear me down and all of that, we just don't need to be together. Or if you're not emotionally available, you're not a person for me to build a solid relationship with, because when things get rough, or because when we have our issues, if we cannot discuss them, then the relationship is not going to work. Or if we were to have children and you're emotionally unavailable, I would not want that for my kids, because a lot of people in the African community are raised in emotionally unavailable homes. A lot of the parents are emotionally unavailable. And again, I extend grace because I understand that you cannot give what you were not given. But there comes a point where we have to want to break these generational curses and not repeat the same thing over and over and over and keep passing down trauma onto our kids over and over and over. Like, let's be smart about the decisions that we're making. Stop feeling pressured to be in a relationship. Stop feeling pressured to just get up under anybody just for the sake of, oh, let me have a fancy wedding, or oh, let me get them to be quiet. Because at the end of the day, they are not the ones that's going to be in that relationship. You are going to be in that relationship. So I just don't think it's wise to make a decision based off of trying to people please off of other people who, in reality, like, no offense, if you don't have your life together, if your life does not reflect the type of life that I want to live, and you're trying to force me to make a decision that you made that did not work out for you, respectfully, I'm not listening to you. Now, if you're gonna come to me and give me guidance on, okay, I made these mistakes, so I wouldn't do this, and if we're having conversation in that type of manner, then cool. But if you got into a relationship that did not work out for you, and your man is out here sleeping with this, and that person, or your man is going back home and getting married to 50 different girls, yet you're gonna turn a blind eye, respectfully, I'm not going to allow a person whose life does not reflect the type of life I want to pressure me into making life-changing decisions, serious decisions, just for me to potentially make the same mistakes that they made, and what we all now in the same boat, when it's just like, you could have guided me in a better way. You could have been real with me to tell me, okay, I made these mistakes, so don't make these mistakes. And when it comes to my parents personally, one thing that I can say is I'm really grateful that they are not the type of African parents to try to force things onto us and try to like pressure us into doing things. You make the decisions that you want to make for your life, because at the end of the day, it's your life. And I appreciate that, because it gives me space to make decisions that I see best fit for myself. Because I'll be damned if I even listen to the opinions of elders who are trying to force me to make certain decisions. I now find myself in a situation that I do not want to be in. And now I will be resentful towards those elders, because you are the reason. And because I know that, I don't even allow them the time or even the mental space to even get into my head to make me feel those ways. But I understand there are a lot of women and young girls who don't fully understand those things, you know, like they really will take it personal. And a lot of relationships would then be formed out of like obligation, or because they feel as though like I have this pressure on me that I feel like I need to just get this out the way. And I just think it's really irresponsible to do that. I just feel like let's be more intentional about the relationships, the marriages, or even just the homes that we're creating. Because at the end of the day, when you decide to have kids, your kids are observing all of that. Like, they are taking in all of that. And I feel like people need to understand that, like, moms and dads, you are the first relationship that a kid is seeing. And if your relationship is not showing something of quality, value, respect, integrity, or just even compassion towards each other, your kid is going to grow up to see whatever dynamic you guys are portraying. And that is the idea of relationships that they will have. And there will come a point where, as they get older, hopefully they build that awareness. They're going to have to unlearn a lot of things, to have to relearn a lot of healthy things. But the reality is, a lot of people don't really get to that point. A lot of people don't believe in those things. A lot of people tend to repeat the same cycles, and I'm tired of seeing it. I just want better for the community. And I'm also tired of people having kids that they're not going to be emotionally available to. I've noticed within a lot of African like families, the parents tend to not really have like this genuine connection with their kids. It's almost like you guys just had kids and there is no genuine connection there. You haven't really taken the time out to get to know your kid, what they like, what they don't like, just who they are as a person. Have like conversations with them. But a lot of them is kind of just a parent-kid relationship versus a person-to-person relationship. And I personally don't want that with my parents. As I've gotten older, I've emphasized on building a relationship with them, because once your kid is no longer a kid and they don't depend on you for things monetarily or for you to provide a roof over their head or anything like that, at that point, if I'm on my own and you're on your own, what brings us together, what keeps us connected, is the relationship that we have, the bond that we've created. And if you guys don't have that genuine bond or connection, that is where distance will get created. And it's almost like, yeah, you're my parent, but you're also like a stranger. And like I said, I understand the older generation, you guys only know what you were shown. You guys only know what you were taught, what you've seen. So now that I'm an adult and I am now navigating, just learning more about life, learning more about myself, and like I said, just the type of relationships that I would want to form, the type of relationships that I don't want to form, I am now doing my part with the level of awareness that I have to make sure that I am not going to repeat the same cycles that I've seen previous generations repeat, that I don't find to be healthy, because I want better for myself. I want better for my future kids. I want better for just the collective as a whole. If everyone just does their part, we can make change, you know, slowly. I'm not saying it's just gonna be like an overnight change where everything is just gonna be like positive. Obviously, it'll be very unrealistic to expect automatic change and, you know, things to just not be how they once were. However, I feel like it's really important for us to break generational curses, to just be a little more open-minded, and to hear us and to hear the younger generation out more when it comes to just like these topics and just the things that we feel. And another thing, when the tempties come to us and they tell us, oh, I have my son for you, I have this person for you, and then you go check them out, that guy be given very much immature. It be given very much, you want that to be my husband. Like, he's giving little boy. He's giving very immature energy. And it's just like, you as a woman, like, you don't know your son to know that, this boy is not ready to be a husband. And that's the thing. Y'all be trying to shame women or make women feel less of to get married and to go find her a husband, when in reality, a lot of these men don't be husband material. Like, that's something that really needs to be talked about. You cannot see me and say, oh, I have my son for you, I have this person for you, oh, he has a good job, he has a degree, or this and that. Meanwhile, your son has a good job, but your son is not emotionally available. Or your son is on the block and your son don't have a job. It's so many different things that I see an issue with. Yeah, raise the young women to be wives, aka servants, let's be honest. But here's the crazy part. Y'all don't raise the sons to be husbands. So how is that supposed to work? How are you preparing one gender and you're not preparing the other one? Instead, the other gender, which is the guys, they just think because they have some balls between their legs that they deserve the world. And it's just like, it does not work that way. But the problem is that's the type of standard y'all set from when they're young in the house. So I also think y'all need to do better when it comes to balancing out how you're raising the girls and how you're raising the guys. You cannot say you're going to raise the girls to be wives, yet you're not raising the sons to be husbands. Because now when the girls get with the guys, there is going to be an imbalance in the relationship. And then y'all wonder why a lot of the relationships don't work. If we have a problem in a relationship, yet you can't communicate your feelings because you're not emotionally intelligent or you don't understand how you feel, how are we supposed to get through the things that we need to get through? For the young women and the young men, I think it's really important to emphasize, learn yourself, get in connection with yourself, grow to be your highest self. And once you reach that point, you will attract the person that is most compatible with you. But if you're just getting with somebody because of what your elder is trying to force onto you, it's bound to not work. I would hate to marry a person that feels like a stranger to me and we're not compatible and it just doesn't feel like we gel together. And obviously it's not to say that you and a person are going to be perfectly peaches and cream 24/7. That's not what I'm saying, because that's really unrealistic. But like, to have a solid foundation is really important if you want longevity in your relationships. Because how I see it, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it correctly. And if we're not doing it correctly, then I'm not doing it at all. You go do your thing over there and I'm gonna sit over here and I'm gonna live my life. And then when the right man come along, then that's what we're gonna do. But other than that, I would never tie my worthiness as a person to whether I have a man or not, because I just don't think that's a good way, because I just don't think that's a valid way to value